Welcome to the start of another work week. Well, I guess for most people around this part of the world, the first part of the work week is over, and certainly over in Europe it's over, and so on around the world. I searched for a quote, and I guess the one I like the best, and doesn't necessarily tie into the reading, but here we are. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be only afraid of standing still. And that was a Chinese proverb. Be not afraid of growing slowly, be only afraid of standing still. And that applies to our spiritual lives as well. And in that regard, yeah, I guess it does apply to the reading. The title of this one is Accept Responsibility. Responsibility, break up the word, able to respond. You are the altar where the world is asking to be healed. Melidoma Patrice Sommet, and I did not look her up, so I apologize. And Ernest Holmes says that we're living in an intelligent universe, and this universe responds to our mental states. To the extent that we learn to control these mental states, we shall automatically control our environment. That's a Science of Mind textbook on page 139. And think about that when we do the reading. Think about mental states as we do the reading, because reading can apply to lots of different states. So think about it. We always shape the environment around us in some way. We all play a role and have a level of responsibility for the way in which the culture around us appears. The environment we find ourselves in can only reflect back to us what we, the people, have put into it. If we all have this level of responsibility, then it becomes apparent that moment by moment, each day, we shape our environment in some way. We either add peace, acceptance, inclusivity, and empowerment, and so on, to it, or we do the opposite, making it more exclusive, less peaceful, more divisive, and more harmful to others. He says there is no middle ground. I've got to think more about that. This is Jeffon. He says there's no middle ground. That's, as I said, I've got to think more about that. Some will default to the idea that they're not doing either, that they're simply living their lives, which in and of itself is an action that reinforces the status quo. I would challenge all of us to recognize how we shape the world around us, and to do so in an intentional way that creates what? Peace, acceptance, respect, and compassion for all. What we see, we helped create, and what will be seen in the future is shaped by how we choose to live today. So, what's the answer? Well, the answer is, of course, that we're all connected, and our thoughts and our feelings, our beliefs, yes, to some extent, impact the world around us. So I guess you could say, if they're neutral, what does that do? Well, if our thoughts are neither peaceful nor warlike, then they're just blah. What does that mean? I guess it means that we're not contributing, but we're not contributing at all, either way. But he's right in the sense that most of us don't just have feelings that are completely neutral. On any subject, any given human being is going to have some opinion. Either I don't care about it, that's an opinion. Yes, I would like this to change, and I'm going to put peaceful, loving thoughts into the environment. Or they can be warlike thoughts. You know, there's been a spat between President Trump and the Pope. So in my view, they're both putting something into the environment. They're both putting something into the group human subjective mind. And I'm not going to get into politics, but my own personal belief is that peace is better than war. But then people have got different opinions. You know, they would say, well, we got to go to war here in order to stop this. And a perfect example would be in the mid-20th century when Germany started to expand into different parts of Europe, and do you let that continue, and where does it stop? Or do you bite the bullet and you start to defend yourself? Well, the British and the French and some others decided to intervene when Poland got invaded because they had a peace treaty with Poland. If Poland's invaded, they come to their help. And I don't think there are too many people on the planet. I know there are some, but I don't think there are too many people on the planet who would argue with the fact that Nazism turned out to be evil. It may not have started off that way. I don't know enough about it. But that's a typical example. And some people did nothing and some people did a lot. And eventually it was defeated. So do you go to war or do you not go to war? Is there such a thing as a just war? And I would say, yeah, there is sometimes. But by and large, that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about our everyday lives. And if we put good stuff into the group human subjective mind, then eventually that will percolate through and it will impact not just us, but people around us. And when you impact people around, it goes out. You know, there's an old story, remember, if you want peace in the world, begin with yourself. If you want love in the world, begin with yourself and move out to your immediate family, to your neighborhood, to your city or town, to your county or state, to your country, to one hemisphere, and then to the rest. So bottom line is, it all begins with each one of us. That's what we can control. We can control exactly how we think and how we feel. Now, does it sometimes get away with us? Yes. And that's why we do our spiritual work, so that we can return back to a loving center and move out from there again. So that is the end of my preaching for today. The other thing I'm going to mention is, yes, my world religions class, or our world religions class, isn't mine. It's our spiritual centers, is coming up. And the information there's ways and means to sign up for it. There's a bunch of people already signed up for it. If you want to learn more about different religions around the world, past and present, then this could be a good course for you. So that's my plug. My other plug is Reverend Lisa, my colleague, is the other person who's on every day from Creative Life Spiritual Center on the Facebook page. She'll be on at 9:15 tomorrow morning, and I'll be back. Let me see, Tuesday. Hopefully 5 o'clock. We will see how that goes. So until next time, my wish for everyone is a peaceful rest of the day and a loving rest of the day. And so it is.